the focal point of COVID, which I think has proven to be false, but nevertheless, that was how we were operating at that time. And so this was like an existential crisis for folks in this industry. So one of the things that we did, people were less likely to want to come out to restaurants. We knew that that was going to cause a lot of problems in terms of their viability. So we said, what could we do to try to deal with this situation in a way that will help them weather this storm? And so what I did through emergency order was waive state statute to allow those licensed to serve alcoholic beverages within their restaurants to also do it to go, so alcohol to go. People would order food, you could go ahead and deliver the beverages. And this was something that a lot of folks throughout Florida have been able to use. Here at Hooligans, Tim Curtis focused on to-go sales in both food and alcohol, which actually helped with food orders, because if people knew they could do the alcohol to go, they were more likely to order the food as well. And so he was able to battle through the storm. We've had folks, I was in Bay County up in Northwest Florida. They got, one of the restaurants there, because of the alcohol to go, they got $20,000 in sales each month as a result, which allowed them to remain viable, stay open, and stay in business. An independent restaurant in Tampa that had just opened prior to the pandemic nearly doubled their sales due to the alcohol to go, and now they're opening up another larger restaurant. And so this was something that we were happy to see that it worked well. People liked it. There was a good response. And so we said, this should be something that we just make permanent, and I think the legislature looked to do it, and they wanted to make it done in a way that would benefit our restaurants and our bars, but do it in a way that was obviously safe for the public, and I think they've done it with SB 148. So I want to thank everyone that worked on this, the legislatures, also thank our friends in the industry, the Florida Restaurant and Lodging Association, for all their hard work. And we're really, it's probably the most difficult year that the restaurant industry has had to face, certainly in recent times. And yet you look at Florida, not that it was a piece of cake, but now this industry is really thriving in Florida. We have people that will move to Florida and to start new restaurants because they know they have an environment that they can do very well in. So we're proud of that. We're proud that folks have been able to weather the storm. So I think this bill today will allow them to continue the momentum. It's not always easy to be in this industry. The margins are not necessarily massive, and you got to do a good job if you really want to thrive. So we're proud to be here in Ormond Beach. I'm proud to be able to sign this bill into law. We're going to hear from a couple folks, though, before I do, starting with Secretary Brown.
Thank you. Thank you, Governor DeSantis, and it's great to be here in Ormond Beach. What an exciting day for the restaurant industry. Wow, and again, it's just a testament to Governor's leadership in driving Florida to continue being sensible in regulation, open to responsible reforms, and focusing on strengthening the economic climate here to keep restaurants, businesses open in Florida, and also celebrate some of those successes too. Perhaps, though, no business sector has been more impacted in our state and need the kind of support and leadership at the governor's level this year more than the hospitality industry. The food and beverage industry really has had to adapt and face numerous challenges. Notwithstanding, though, so many businesses, just like Hooligans here today, have been creative, they've been resourceful, and they've been persistent. So many of them have found new opportunities, options, methods of sharing their offerings, and added conveniences with consumers. Thank you to Governor DeSantis' initiatives. These are now here to stay. Countless restaurant owners throughout the state have pointed to the option of selling or delivering alcohol to go as really the critical link that being able to survive during the challenging times. As an agency that gets input daily, every single day, I can attest that today's customers right now are expecting and embracing delivery options more and more, like never before. And with this bill and permanently extending these options, Florida is recognizing responsible alcoholic beverage regulation while also being receptive to the realities of the modern business climate we're in. Today, I want to applaud Senator Bradley as well as Representative Tom Coe and the members of the Florida legislature, some of who are here today, for picking this important measure to making it last and taking it to the finish line here. And I thank Governor, thank you very much for leading the way and being very innovative, steadfast, and decisive in taking action early on for permanent results here. And to our restaurant and bar owners throughout Florida, I want to reiterate a message from DBPR that we will absolutely be a continued resource for you. So please feel free to reach out to us so we can help you. Again, thank you, Governor, for leading the way here in Florida and setting the tone for our great state.
Great.
Thank you.
Jen Bradley.
Very good. Good morning. I'm Jennifer Bradley. I represent North Florida, North Rural Florida in the Florida Senate. Thank you to Hula Hands for hosting us this morning and for your incredible perseverance over what has been a difficult year. I'll tell you, I wake up every morning and I'm so glad to live in the state of Florida. When other states are shutting down, our governor was looking for ways to stay open, looking for ways to give our businesses options and choices. And he did just that when he signed his executive order, giving restaurants the ability to mirror their in-restaurant opportunities with alcohol to go in the to-go environment that really became central to so many business models. So thank you, Governor DeSantis, for making that permanent. Thank you to Representative Tom Coe, who was an incredible partner in navigating what can be a complex area of alcohol regulation. So thank you, and the future is so bright.
Thank you. Yep. Well, I just want to start off by saying thank you to Governor DeSantis. This was a huge initiative, and I know it was important to my district and Polk County and Osceola counties. And for us to be able to put this into law to where our restaurant owners can continue to thrive and recover during this pandemic and allow consumers to have this choice is a huge deal. So I'm very proud and honored to have been a part of Senator Bradley's and I's initiative for this and the governor's, and just thank you all for being here today.
Good morning. I'm Tim Curtis. I'm the owner of one of the owners of Hooligans, and again, I'd like to thank Governor DeSantis and all the people around me. I want to say thanks to Governor DeSantis for the aggressive approach that he's and the support that he's shown towards the restaurant and hospitality industry. I think that has set us far apart from all other parts of the country. I talk to other people in other parts of the country, and they tell me their challenges, and I scratch my head. You know, we have our challenges each and every day, and I want to take this opportunity to thank all of my employees for the perseverance, showing up to work every single day. And again, throughout the hospitality industry, that is our biggest challenge right now. Governor DeSantis and the representatives with their alcohol to go bill at the time when they waived it and gave us the opportunity to sell alcohol to go, that was one of the most challenging times in the restaurant business. When we were shut down from inside service, Governor DeSantis says, you know what, you guys continue your business. Unfortunately, it's going to have to be to go. That first couple of days when that happened, I use our Port Orange store as an example. We were wrapped around the building onto Dunlawton, and I looked at our management team and I said, guys, we've got to figure this out. And we adopted what we call the Chick-fil-A model. Within days, we had double drive-up lanes. We had 8 servers working out of a small to-go room. Our Friday nights are the busiest night in the restaurant industry, where we don't have a seat in the entire restaurant. Selling alcohol like crazy from 4 o'clock to 9 o'clock are your busiest hours. And I'm going to tell you this: we didn't miss a beat. Friday nights, 4 o'clock to 9 o'clock, we, without a single person in our restaurant, we were still doing the same level of sales. God bless my employees for everything they do. God bless the governor, and God bless everybody for the hard work, the aggressive approach that they have to get us back to work and to keep us in business. For that, I'm so thankful. God bless.
Great. Thank you. So I'm be proud to sign this bill in a minute, but I do just the restaurants were, we were told from on high that this was like a big problem with COVID, and at the end of the day, it became clear to me as we went that the data really wasn't supporting that. I mean, it wasn't that you couldn't get it. Obviously, you could. There were examples of that with contact tracing. But the notion that this was like the big breeding ground for this, it just never was borne out in the data. I think restaurants were targeted. I think it was very unfair. And I think Florida, we've been, we've had our restaurants operating at full capacity since the summer. it's been good. People are happy, and obviously we trust people to make their own decisions. And if that's something that you don't want to do, that's fine. But if you think about some of the things that this led to, in other parts of the country, they would say no indoor dining, only outdoors. Well, when the weather's nice, that was something that you do. So literally, you're like on the street and all this stuff. But then when it got colder, they would say outdoor dining, and then they'd build a structure literally right outside the restaurant that has worse ventilation that would be in the restaurant, but that's outdoor dining. So some of this stuff was just absolutely insane, what was going on in some of these other states. And so I think what we tried to do was exercise common sense, trust people to understand, what's going on, and have them make the right decisions. People they're the ones that are most on the line to have a safe environment. They don't need government telling them build a structure outside your restaurant. It doesn't make any sense to do that. And I think what you've seen, the restaurants in the state of Florida, there have been a wide variety of things that people have done. And not everyone's done it the same, but I think they've responded to their customers. And I think that's one of the reasons why, in spite of having a lot of challenges over the past year, we're really thriving in a lot of our industry. And I know that the issue of employees and stuff is something I hear literally every single place I go in the state of Florida. It's a much better problem to have that as your problem than not have jobs for anybody. Nevertheless, we do understand that. So that's why we're going to have the job search for folks who are on unemployment, get it back to where it was in the sense of this is meant to be a safety net, but not a permanent solution. And the goal is obviously to get people back into the workforce. We have the openings in Florida. There's no question about it. There's a lot of jobs, and not just in restaurants and a whole bunch of other things. We're fortunate that we have those openings, but obviously we want to make sure that we get people back on their feet as we move forward. But I'm excited about this. I think when you innovate, when you see, look, if it didn't work, it wouldn't have worked, and we would have admitted that. But I think it did. I think it was popular. I think the businesses really appreciated it, and now it'll be a permanent part of our state's laws. All right. And today is the 13th of May. Am I right? Is it the 13th? Yes, 13th.
What do we got? 13? Yep, 13.
All right. Okay. Alcohol to go.
Fantastic.
Thank you. Yeah. Who else?
There you go. Good job.
Better, huh? Thank you. One more? 10?
There you go.
Oh, there you go. There you go. Yeah. Well, I got a couple more. All right.
Thank you, sir.
One more? Anybody? I'll take it. Okay.
Thank you.
All right. Very good.
Thank you.
Well, thanks for coming. We appreciate it. Take a question or two before I hit the road.
Governor, I wanted to ask about another business that's facing challenges, the cruise industry. And I'm sure you've heard by now of Norwegian threatening to leave because of the order prohibiting businesses from, asking for or requiring vaccinations. So my question is, are you trying to roll that back now, and do you care the cruise lines leave?
So first of all, with the cruise, this is example of kind of fake narratives. The cruise lines, the major cruise lines, Norwegian's not one of the bigger ones, by the way. Cruise lines have been operating in other parts of the world where there's no access to vaccine, much less the passengers required, and in areas where COVID is more prevalent than it is in the United States right now. And I can tell you cruise lines are ready, willing, and able to sail from the state of Florida. We are the #1 destination for people who want to come and take cruises. We had a great hearing, I think, by and large. The reports I heard in federal court yesterday, we think we got our points across. We think that the judge was receptive. I mean, we'll see what happens. But these cruise lines are ready to go. Royal Caribbean, Carnival, they want to go. They're going to be able to do it. And so we're ready, and we're going to be able to do it. At the same time, our state policy is our state policy. But I can tell you this, if one of the smaller ones says they somehow don't want, that niche will get filled in Florida. I have no question.
Right, Governor, because the federal government is requiring them to have.
The federal government, though, that's the whole idea. We are challenging the CDC's authority to do what they're doing. They mothballed, they mothballed the industry for over a year. That was never the intent of anything Congress has ever enacted. That was them exceeding their authority. Now they say you can only sail if you have 98% of the passengers that are vaccinated. And oh, by the way, if you're sunbathing, you have to make sure they're wearing a mask while they're sunbathing. Are you kidding me? That is an absolute farce. And so we're challenging the authority of the CDC to be involved to this extent, particularly at this point. I think it's very pertinent that these cruise lines have been operating for months and months in other parts of the world without this draconian type of stuff. And remember, they did a conditional sail order last fall, and it was literally the cruise lines could not function if they abided by it. And so this is a bureaucracy in D.C. that is imposing things that are frustrating the ability. What we want is the cruise lines to be open, and we want them to be able to make decisions about how they're going to handle a lot of this stuff. That obviously is within the context of a Florida policy that respects the medical privacy of all Floridians. And I can tell you this, what I'll hear is most people don't like the idea that if they show up at a ball game, they got to whip out vaccination records or some things like that. But some say, well, maybe on a cruise, maybe we could do that. It's a little different. Trust me, it will not stop at that. The minute that they start doing this, they're going to continue to do it. It will expand. So we did the right thing on that. But no, the problem is the CDC. The problem is not Florida. We have a whole bunch of people who are itching to do business in the state of Florida. And I can tell you, with our unemployment rate lower than the national average, 4.7 compared to 6, if we had the cruises open, we would have tens of thousands of more jobs filled in the state of Florida. And there's a lot of people in that industry that really want to get back. I mean, we had a lot of them down in Miami a few weeks ago. And it's been tough on folks who are working in this industry to be mothballed like that. They have gotten government assistance. They've done that, but that's not fulfilling what they want to do in life. They want to be a part. This is something that they take pride in doing, and they're being prevented from doing that, not on the basis of science or data, because we know these ships are sailing in other parts of the world. It's more based on the whims of the bureaucracy, and that's just not the right thing to do. But I think we're going to be successful in the courts. And I see a great pathway for us to be back in the summer. And here's the thing. If we are successful in the courts, I am willing to bet anyone that people are going to want to cruise from the state of Florida. Yes, sir.
Governor, Orange County Mayor Jerry Deming says he's exploring legal options after your executive order basically eliminating local mask mandates. Do you have a response to that? And have you spoken with the mayor of Orange County recently?
I haven't, but here's the thing. The legislature did a very significant reform of local emergency powers. They cabined it appropriately. I signed that into law. Clearly, what the local governments have done is far, far beyond what the legislature now says is appropriate. And so that's the policy that I think we're going to pursue. I am completely satisfied that we're on strong ground in terms of doing that. And here's the thing. We suspended the fines against individuals last summer. So they've not been able to do that and actually collect it. I remitted all that had been issued in March. We'll remit the additional ones on our next clemency meeting. So what they were doing was they were basically conscripting businesses into enforcing a policy that they were not allowed to enforce directly on individuals. And so a lot of businesses were frustrated, I think understandably so. And so we were very responsive to that. And then, of course, the fact is we have a surplus of vaccine at this point. I mean, it's available for folks if they want it. We're very excited about the Seniors First program that we did. It was a success. We have in many counties over 90%, 80, 85, 90% of seniors, have already gotten shots, and realistically, there's some that just don't want it, and that's fine. So we really appreciate that. But anyone who wants it at this point is able to get it. I mean, the pharmacies all have it. The appointments are readily available. This is not December 30, 2020 in terms of the supply demand. This is a much different ball game. We've got a lot of folks who have access to it. The demand isn't what it was. Some of that is rational because you have more low-risk population, and I get that. Some of it, unfortunately, I think was because of some of the messaging that's come out of D.C., where they did the Johnson & Johnson, effectively mothballed that. That did not need to be done. I think that's caused some people to lose interest in Johnson & Johnson. I think it's going to come back. But Johnson & Johnson was really hot when it first came out in Florida. People really wanted it, and we were really satisfied with what was going on. And then, of course, I think they've had such conflicting messages about if you get vaccinated and then you tell people you still have to wear masks, you still have to, when you do that, you're telling them that the vaccine's not effective. And I think that's a bad message. I think the message should be, if you're vaccinated, what possible basis would a government have to impose any type of these restrictions on you? The only way you can try to justify that is if you are taking the position of effectively saying that the vaccines are ineffective. And so we believe that it's been good. We believe it's saved lives for our seniors, and we're going to keep working to make it available.
Governor, you were talking about getting people back to work and unemployment. What's your take on the White House these federal unemployment benefits they're now offering states? Is this something you potentially accept or reject?
So here's what I would do. I think that if you're going to do federal money on top of the state, I would rather apply that as like a assistance for getting employed again. And so when people accept jobs, then there's an incentive for them to do it, and maybe they can benefit from some of the federal money on the back end that way. I think that would change some of the incentive structures that we're seeing. It would still be, make it worth people's while. Because look, and some of the folks who will come, and I don't know if Tim's had this, but some of the, like restaurant in particular, they'll talk to some of their former employees. Former employees would be like, look, if you look at all the benefits I'm getting compared to that, and they make a rational calculation. That's not their fault for doing that. They're right to do that. It's really the government has created certain incentives, and so the question is, if you have this amount of money, why not make the incentives to point towards reemployment? In other words, if you get employed, then you get a financial bonus for doing that. I would rather spend the money that way than do status quo if the status quo is keeping us from being able to fulfill a lot of the positions. And the thing that's striking to me about it, we have a big, diverse state, as you know. You're up in 30A in Northwest Florida compared to being down in Fort Lauderdale or here in Volusia or Naples. I mean, it's rich, it's diverse, but I tell you, there is literally no difference from what I hear in every single corner of the state. In fact, I was at a cattle ranch in Okeechobee County, and they were having the same issue. So it really cuts across industries, and that's really the number one thing I hear, particularly from small businesses. People are really excited about Florida, the fact that we led the way on being open and getting the kids in school and doing all those things, and we're doing well. We got a lot of good stuff going on, but then you have the situation where some restaurants will have to close for a day because they're short-staffed, or they'll have to reduce hours, and as I said, you see it in other parts of the industries, other industries as well. So we're going to work on that. We just want to make sure, look, I was very sensitive last year. We waived the job search because it's like, okay, why are we going to make people do this when a lot of this stuff is evaporating? We just need to get the money out the door. So we had to do a lot of work on this system to fix some of the stuff and finally get money out. We actually send money out quicker now than before the pandemic, even though we have more people that are accessing it. So we are very, very sensitive to that, but we just have to recognize we're in a much different environment right now, much different world. There is not a lack of positions in the state of Florida. Anyone who is able-bodied and wants a job, I think at this point, very, very likely that you're going to be able to find a job. Okay, thanks, everyone. We'll see you soon. Got it. Yeah. Thanks for coming. Appreciate it. Thanks, buddy. Yeah, thanks, Governor. All righty.
Thank you. 2 days in a row.
I know. Is the Stonewood by Bucky's? How's that doing?
I call it the Bucky Fund.
Yeah.
Again, it's a lot more fast.
Bucky's is unbelievable.